Folks, we are live. Welcome into Fandom Menace tonight for Monday, June 8th, 2020. So we're a couple minutes late, and yes, it's my fault. I was making the title card for the next video, which should go live right around the time this stream ends. So if you love what we do and you want more and you can't wait, and you've watched everything else, well, you're in luck because we'll have that video. Well, it's uploaded, just waiting on the title card to get done, and hopefully enjoy it. Let me know in the comments section. But tonight we have all kinds of stuff to talk about. We have a nice week of pop culture ahead of us. Now, not nice because it's nice and quaint and calm and safe to talk about. No, but because there's finally enough stuff to talk about. Last week was difficult to get through because it was a dry spell. Yes, there was a lot of real life stuff going on, so it was hard to care about, and it was hard to find pop culture news. So there's all kinds of stuff this week. We're going to start off with some spicy memes. Excuse me, not even memes, just some spicy topic, because one of the biggest assholes to ever direct a superhero film is speaking out, and it's going to be fun to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about, well, it's going to stop building up the show. We'll just start talking about it now. So let us hail the chat. So we have our friend Zach Z. Hail to you. Hello, Mark Santos. Dennis Shaughnessy. Hail to our friend Alexander the Great. Also want to send out hail to our friend Griffin Turbo, as well as the Briscoe 1234. Hello, Ricardo Hello, Ricardo Martinez. Can't speak. I wanted to call you Ricardo Rodriguez, not because I'm insensitive to your name, but because there was a wrestling manager who was very distinct. So every time I see the name Ricardo as a first name, I think of him. We also have our friend Breadman Productions. What's up to you? Hello, our friend Darth Morgoth. We also have Classy Cannabis. Hello. Hello to Annabelle. Hello, 1R. You are here all the time, as well as our friend Chuck E. Cheese. Philosopher Unknown, we haven't heard from you in a while. Hello to Andrew Cole. And finally, our friend, who we got to hail, is our final one. You know, it's Stone Cold Jeremy, since he's a dude who is always here as well. So I want to take that time to say thank you to everybody, and hail and welcome into Fandom Menace tonight. Because the Fandom Menace is a community. We are the greatest online community because we're all about the fans and fandom and having some fun in the process. So now that we got that out of the way, hail to everybody, let's start talking about where is he at? I had a picture of him pulled up. He is not well regarded in the fan community. So Jesse, over there behind the stacks of Stealing Solo, the thousands of copies that inhabit our apartment, have you seen Fan Four Stick, the Michael B. Jordan Fantastic Four film?
No.
And you had no interest in it because it looks terrible, correct? Or other nefarious reasons?
When did that one come out?
2015.
I don't even think I remember it happening.
Yeah, it was a huge failure, and nobody misses it. Excuse me. But it's back in the news because tonight's video about the Snyder Cut and the dangers that it brings out in popular culture. Well, the Snyder Cut has emboldened a lot of people. And one of those emboldened people is our friend, well, I'm going to stop calling him a friend because he's not a friend, Josh Trank. To steal a joke from a fantastic movie, if Josh Trank was an ice cream flavor, he'd be pralines and dick. So, full transparency, I have only turned off 2 superhero films mid-viewing experience. The first would be Elektra from 2005. The second would be Fan Four Stick from 2015. What do these films have in common? Well, first off, they come from 20th Century Fox. They're terrible. And, they don't do Marvel properties justice. Remember, folks, and I have to remind myself this too, because I'm one of the people who firmly believes the MCU is over, because we've reached the logical conclusion. The story is over. Iron Man is gone. Captain America rode off into the sunset with Peggy. There's really not another story to tell from this group of Avengers. Yes, starting fresh is dangerous, but I don't think it's a bad thing to do if Marvel were to, I don't know, pick the right characters instead of our Kamala Khans and are, anchoring everything on Captain Marvel. Well, you know what? Let's try something else. And I think something else would be a smart X-Men. And I'm going to talk about all of this stuff coming up. And I'm actually going to talk about something that some would deem fairly political, but it's in the comic book spectrum. And I want to talk about it. And I don't know a better time or place to besides this channel. So just stick around towards the end of tonight's show, and we'll cover that. But yes, Fan Four Stick. There's a lot to cover. And I'm sorry for making you look at this failure of a movie poster, but we have to. So do me a favor, folks. Hit that thumbs up button. It's not for Fanforstic. It's for the Fandom Menace and World Class Bullshitters. And yes, I'm like you, Dr. Coffindales. Nobody wants a Trank cut of Fanforstic. And I think even Josh Trank himself does not want a Trank cut of Fanforstic. But the news is not keeping him from soaking up all the press that he possibly can. So, Josh Trank, bounding into comics. Fantastic Four director Josh Trank. I don't want to see a movie about a bunch of white people. This never ends poorly. Now we can take it back to Brie Larson and her whole white people comment. And now we can bring it forward to Josh Trank. Thankfully for Josh Trank, your movie has failed miserably and no one's going to come after you for your stupid shit because no one cares about you. So, Fantastic Four director Josh Trank recently discussed his tumultuous experience with the 20th Century Fox film where he declared he had no interest in watching a movie about a bunch of white people. Trank appeared on the First Cut YouTube channel where he revealed originally he wanted a black Sue Storm and detailed his battles with Fox executives over the direction of the film. In the middle of talking about his decision to cast Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm in the film, Trank detailed, I keep calling it Tank because his movie did tank. So the question of diversity, it was like maybe the second thought, to be honest, because it wasn't really like, I didn't think about it as much as, because to me, that's by default, you need diversity in movies. He continued, in Chronicle, in the script, it doesn't specifically say that Steve is a black guy. It doesn't say that in the script. It's these three kids. And to me, that's just sort of like, that's not three white kids, that's three kids. Trank elaborated, but that's just me. Just because, some people might not think about it like that. They might think, hey, I just grew up with white people, so that's all I identify with. But I mean, I grew up in a very diverse environment in Los Angeles. To me, it's always important to show a world that reflects the world I see. Otherwise, it's kind of creepy and weird. Okay. There's more. Let's see. Unless there's something specifically about the world that's inherently white, because that is important to see. For instance, if you look at Silicon Valley in the early 90s or something like that in the mid 90s, it was like the whitest world that possibly existed. But if you look at Silicon Valley, it's now completely diverse. But like if you want to show something for historical purpose, then that's important. Okay, so Josh Trank isn't completely off. I hate you, motorcycle rider. Anyway, Josh Trank isn't completely off the reservation with that statement. Now, this, you look at me, if you're to say, Jeff, tell a story about three kids. I myself might write a story about three white kids. Who knows? It doesn't really matter about the skin color. But I think what happened was Josh Trank's heart was in the right place, but his head was up his ass. So that's where the failure of this project ultimately, that's what it ultimately fell upon. Now, I keep, being the logical, guy that I am, and I keep thinking to myself, Josh, did you forget the part where Johnny and Sue are blood brother and sister? That's where a lot of people got pissed off because it makes no sense. Your blood siblings, they're not step siblings, they're blood siblings, the Storms. And one just so happened to be black and the other one's white. Now, unless this is a scene out of Me, Myself, and Irene, which is another 20th Century Fox film that I thoroughly enjoyed, you don't just randomly have kids of a different skin color unless something's going on behind the scenes that you don't know about, Mr. Fantastic. But when you're adapting something, I think that falls in line with the historical aspect. Because historically, the Fantastic Four are important. They're important to comic book history. They're important to, just comic book history. Let's be honest. The Fantastic Four haven't been truly relevant in decades. And people think, but Jeff, what about the Tim Story films? Those were fine. I saw them both in theaters. Opening night for the first one in 2005. Opening weekend for the second one in 2007. But those films were just okay at best. They were mildly successful. And then they came and they went. 2007, everyone's attention was on Spider-Man 3. And by the time we got to 2008, Dark Knight and Iron Man had really just stolen the conversation. Hell, even The Incredible Hulk, which is part of the MCU proper, isn't even brought up in the 2008 overhaul of the comic book genre in film. So we're decades removed from the Fantastic Four being the preeminent team in Marvel. I mean, let's think back to maybe the 70s was the last time where the Fantastic Four outranked either Avengers or X-Men. By the time we get to the end of the 1970s, when you have John Byrne and Chris Claremont on the book, we're talking some of the most classic X-Men stories. And then you could argue, well, John Byrne jumped over to Fantastic Four, and he did. And it was a nice, prosperous run. But after he left, yes, you may have visionaries like Walt Simonson on the book, but we're not talking the same level of success. And when I'm talking success, numbers do not equate good books, but books sold equate books read. And so when more people have read your book, your IP, your characters are in the public consciousness much more so than, let's say, a book that hasn't been relevant in 25 or 30 years. So when X-Men has been your prominent team since John Byrne and Chris Claremont took over the book, well, we got to give Dave Cockrum his respect too. Pre-John Byrne, but I'm also one of those guys that usually lists the artist first because that's what I'm into in a comic. Yes, the writing has to be on point, but I do buy the books for the art at times. But I digress. My point is, you're coming in hot with this new take on the Fantastic Four, which, if you're trying to sell tickets, makes sense, but at the same time, it was a massive failure for many other reasons besides the race swapping. So what else is Josh Trank saying about this? But in terms of my story about four young people who are forever changed by these incredible, you want to see a diverse cast. I want to see the Fantastic Four, just like everybody that wants to go see the Buffy the Vampire Slayer crew, or everybody that wants to see the crew of the Nostromo, or things like that. Basically, Josh, when you're adapting a property, you're playing with other people's toys, and other people goes deeper than just, let's say, rights holders. Because when you're talking Fantastic Four or Indiana Jones with James Mangold taking over, the toys belong to not just the studios, but the people that consume. And so you've heard me say this, and I've heard people say this too. Once a movie is complete, it's no longer just the property of the creator. It's the people's film because it lives and dies in our memories. Four Stick has died because no one remembers it. But a film like, I don't know, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, while not financially successful in the beginning, has lived on for decades because of the fan demand. And when people say, well, fan demand doesn't really matter when making a movie, I keep thinking they forget that fans are the ones who are the box office. The box office isn't just some randomized thing that people make money from. No, each dollar is a person's dollar. Each ticket is a person, a set of eyes viewing the film. Unless it's, Captain Marvel, then we still don't know if those tickets were legit purchased. But for Josh Trank to want to cast his buddy in the film, there's no problem with that. But when you're casting your buddy to play a character that a lot of people love and that your buddy looks nothing like, well, then there's the problem. And it's not a race problem that people have. It's a problem with just bad casting. I don't remember anybody bitching about Michael B. Jordan playing Killmonger. I don't remember anybody bitching about Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther. It goes deeper than that. And I'm so tired of the argument, oh, well, it's just this, that, and the other about race. It's really not. It's about doing better for the property that you're going to adapt or own. It's, as rights holders, you have the right to make money and to do things with said properties, but you're also beholden to the people to adapt and present the best possible version. Did Josh Trank and 20th Century Fox do that in 2015? No, they did not. Did 20th Century Fox with Tim Story in 2005 do it properly? They tried. I think those films also need to be looked under the lens of like a Daredevil or X-Men, or I'm trying to think of other comic book properties who have been either rebooted or redone, dare say better. Some would argue that the X-Men First Class crew is better than the Bryan Singer crew. I would say the perfect X-Men film exists between the two, and I'll call it Days of Future Past. It's still my favorite one, that or X2, X-Men United. But remember, those films come from a different pre-MCU time where people held things to a different standard. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with judging these films from a critical standpoint. And from the minutes that I spent watching Fanforstic, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I couldn't handle a bad film. And I won't sit through something just because it says Marvel on it. And yeah, I'm with you there. Moot point about Elektra. Elektra, I turned it off. I turned it off. I think it's a garbage film. Now, here's an interesting question from Breadman about, Harvey Dent as, Harvey Dent would be Two-Face because that's the character, but Billy D. Williams is Harvey Dent. I think that's an odd casting choice. Now, as a kid, I didn't put together that Harvey Dent. First off, Billy D. Williams has always been Billy D. Williams to me. He's just one of those actors that transcends all the roles. Even when I'm talking about Lando Calrissian, I usually just, I'll say Billy D. But as a kid, I didn't even recognize that he was supposed to be Harvey Dent and that he would go on to be Two-Face. I was 6 months old when Batman 89 came out. And I watched that film a lot as a kid, but I also watched the Batman the Animated Series. Much more than I watched Batman 89. On that cartoon, Two-Face was white. He had a half blue face. So then when I went and saw Tommy Lee Jones a couple years later in Batman Forever, I was like, it clicked. I don't know how I would have felt as a kid if Two-Face was black and he was white on the cartoon. I think what it all boils down to is your first experience with a character. If you never have seen a superhero film or didn't even know who Spider-Man is, and I only showed you Andrew Garfield's flicks, you might like those the best. You'd be wrong, but you might like those the best. And it goes with other representations of characters as well. If you saw Eric Bana as the Hulk first, you might consider him the best. Or if you saw Lou Ferrigno. And if you call Lou Ferrigno the best Hulk, I'm inclined to agree with you. Again, from that lens of this is what came before. Lou Ferrigno is the man, and he playing the Hulk was just awesome. And it's nice that they still use his voice to this day. So let me get to some of the super chats because we had a couple roll in that I want to address. I'd like to thank everybody for supporting the channel and doing what you do. And now just give me a second to click on the window. While we wait for it to load, I don't know, talk amongst yourself. The topic, Dutch cabinet makers. There we go. So, where are we at? Videos. YouTube has changed its layout, and it's never fun to navigate. Just like the traffic outside of my apartment. So, let's see. I apologize for all the fill-ins. We're just trying to get to the proper window, and here it froze. Here we go. So first off, our friend Cash Kester says, I've been missing your live streams lately, slowly going back to work. Wanted to thank you and the whole Fandom Menace for helping us all get through this. You are very welcome, Cash Kester. That is the reason why this show existed. Jesse was going to do a live nightly show in replacement of the talk shows. I thought I should do the same thing. So I thought I'll go on before, and it all worked out. And yeah, I know things are going back to normal. I've been noticing the slower turnout because people are getting back to work and normalcy. And yeah, we'll adjust and we'll switch. But I've been having a great time, and I'll miss it eventually. But for now, we're here, and let's enjoy. So Cash Kester, thank you very much. I'm glad you things are getting back to normal for you. Ninja Lawyer Steve, thank you very much. Ninja Lawyer Steve says, you know what they say, it takes a trank to tank. You're not wrong. I love jokes like that. Are they puns? Are they whatever? I love them. Corny jokes. And Trank did tank it. It's going to be a while before they pick up the Fantastic Four into the IP that Disney and Marvel want it to be. And what's funny is it might be their own downfall, the Fantastic Four, because we have them to thank for canceling the book, for them to be, canceling the merchandise. Close the door. Oh. He's fine. Jesse, you'll be okay.
That was sad.
But, yeah, Josh Trank. Maybe we should get really drunk and watch this movie.
Okay.
Fanforstic. See if we can handle it. Ooh, we'll play the game where it shits the bed. It's my favorite drinking game. Thank you, Lando. Thank you, Kat. Our friend Bear Business, thank you very much. Bear Business Bear Business One, excuse me, says how many points would be the hiring choice have raised the Rotten Tomatoes? Sorry, how many points would the hiring choice have raised the Rotten Tomatoes score? It's currently at 9% and 18% with the audience. Remember, we were at a different period, Bear Business One, back in 2015, where while this was going to get you goodwill points, it wasn't going to get you critic scores. Virtue signaling is a currency that a lot of people deal in today. It didn't have as much spending power as it did back then. I think it's about to burst that bubble, much like some of the cryptocurrencies, some of the dot-com bubbles back in the day. The virtue signal currency will expire. It will go away. I think after last week's outpouring of stuff, we'll just call it stuff here on this channel, I think a lot of people look at certain businesses differently. Do I? I got to go back and look at every press release and everything out there. It's a weird time that those people in power are going to put that first, and I mean virtue signaling, not the actual event of stuff that went down. So our friend Tim Riggs, thank you very much. He says, as a cis white male, unrepentant of non-existing white privilege, the only problem I had with the Fan Forstic casting was the contrived, tortured way of getting Johnny and Sue to be brother and sister. That was my first question. That was my very first question there, Tim, when I saw this back in the day. And we briefly talked about it when the podcast started. We weren't as entrenched in the culture war that we're on the front lines for. A lot of us here in the Fandom Menace are, because sometimes, discussing popular culture, while for us has not become political, for a lot of people it has. It's become a culture war, and it gets vicious, it gets nasty. A lot of things happen. People lose friends. There are casualties, if you will. Nobody dies. They just get really big boo-boos in this story. And I'm reading Tim's other comment about you can't have black villains anymore, though, Jeff. They need to be straight white loners who live on an alt-right message board. I wouldn't be surprised, Tim, if big studios were afraid to make a black villain, which I think is just as problematic. Let's use their words on them, folks. It's just as problematic to not allow a black villain as it is to not allow a black hero. And you're thinking to yourself, who wouldn't watch a movie with a black hero in it? The same people who wouldn't watch a hero with a black villain in it. It's a dumb argument, and I can't believe that I'm thinking about it the way I am, because it's actually a problem. If we go back and look at all of James Bond's villains, some of his better villains are black. Dr. Kananga is awesome. I'm a big fan of, Mr. Big, if you prefer that one. But he's a very good Bond villain. Yaphet Kotto saw himself, the actor who plays the role, saw himself as the black James Bond, and he tried to carry himself in that way. And that's interesting to me. I think the best villains are heroes on an off day. We look at a character like Silva from Skyfall. He was a 00 agent, or we'll use Trevelyan because Trevelyan's much more beloved. GoldenEye is a fantastic film. Trevelyan is evil Bond. One bad day turned Trevelyan into Bond would turn Bond into Trevelyan. And you're thinking to yourself, there's other things that go into that. He had to deal with Arumov beforehand, X, Y, and Z. There's always Lance Cossack. But great villains mirror their heroes. And Yaphet Kotto did that. And if here's the thing. If you don't do black villains against white heroes or vice versa, I think you're going to have the same problem that somebody like a Josh Trank has, where we talk about the world outside of our front door. Okay, maybe I don't want the world outside of my front door and my escapist entertainment because I want to escape, but I think it would be unrealistic to put these characters or these roles in a smaller box. So the only way you can have a black villain is if you have a black hero, like in Black Panther. And that'd be stupid, because Mordo, I don't like the race swapping of Mordo in Doctor Strange, but that would just wipe out the ability to have Doctor Strange even fight Mordo in that realm. I'm trying to think of other... That'd be as dumb as the Winter Soldier and the Falcon never being able to take on a black or a white villain by those rules. You'd have to find some in between, because you can't have the same. It's dumb. The thing is, I get it though. I'm not calling you dumb, Tim. I'm calling the idea of no black villains stupid. Look at Aquaman. Aquaman, Jason Momoa, I don't even know what race he is, but he fought a black dude and he fought a blonde-haired white dude in Aquaman. And you know what? It was a fun movie. Don't take that away from us. Ooh, we got some Skyfall and Silva Love in the chat, so shout out to you, Bruce. I like Skyfall. I love the song. It might be my third or fourth favorite. A View to a Kill and You Know My Name from Casino Royale are my two favorites. So, yeah, Mike W., there we go. Even better song. I agree with that statement. So, right now, we're really embroiled in a lot of race stuff. You know, Josh Trank's trying to qualify by saying, well, Stan Lee gave my approval for casting Michael B. Jordan as Johnny. Yeah, I don't buy into that. Yeah, he might have said so, but how much say would Stan Lee have, even if he fought against it? You know, look at all the crap he went through at the end of his life. Imagine if he would have said something in 2015. People might have had a bad adversarial feeling towards Stan Lee, which was never right. You know, Stan Lee is a proponent for a lot of these things. Stan Lee is the progenitor of a lot of these things. I think it'd be very funny as if at the end of his life people tried to call him a racist or anything like that because of all the good he had done decades prior. But it was decades prior, therefore it doesn't count anymore. There's an expiration date on good deeds. Like Superman, you know? He may have saved the world countless times, but it doesn't matter. He hasn't saved it in the last 32 days. And this person's getting a hashtag trending, so that means they've done more. John Doe says, yep, 007 Rogue Agent was a good game. Sip. I refused to play GoldenEye Rogue Agent because James Bond was not in the game. It's like the book The Spy Who Loved Me. I haven't read it because I know Bond only shows up, I think, towards the end of the book. So I'm a little biased when it comes to 007 stuff without 007. Maybe it could be the best first-person shooter of that genre, of that decade. I doubt it because I believe that game came out the same year as Halo 2, so I'm going to give the nod to Halo 2 and other Call of Duties because that was before Call of Duty was a soulless cash grab, excuse me. No Cecil pun intended. But I don't know. Maybe one day, once I run out of every other game to play, including 007 Legends, maybe I'll give Rogue Agent a try, John Doe. But until then, I am very, very biased towards games about James Bond featuring James Bond. Thank you, Ninja Lawyer Steve. Again, he says, because my lame brain can't think up ideas until it's way too late, here's another movie title. Corona Zombies 2, Jeff and Jesse Save the Tiger King. Hey, Jesse, you want to go save Joe Exotic?
Yes.
She says yes if you can't pick it up on the microphone. So we're going to go, Ninja Lawyer Steve, and act out your movie. We should just call it 2020, Jeff and Jesse Save the Tiger King. It starts out, do we break him out of jail or do we do it legit? We start a grassroots campaign where we get him exonerated.
Let's break him out.
Let's break him out? Okay, Superman 2 style it is.
Well, what if we break him out and then...
So we break him out and then what?
And then, we keep him hidden away and nobody knows it was us that broke him out to the grassroots campaign to exonerate him. And when we finally have gotten his original case declared a mistrial, then we bring him out of hiding and we're heroes.
Okay, I like that. That's Ninja Lawyer Steve. That's what we're going to do. And I'm assuming you're a ninja and a lawyer, so we're going to use your help because you can...
kidnapping and the courtroom.
I was to say, ninjas can get us into any situation and lawyers can get us out. So that's all we need right there. Ninja Lawyer Steve, we're going to call you, get you on retainer to save Joe Exotic. We talking about Grace Jones in the chat. Did something happen to Grace Jones? Because I do like her in A View to a Kill. Oh, see, Sam Adams, I never forget Jack Kirby. When we talk about stuff in the videos, I always do that. I'm one of those people that's like, don't give Stan Lee any credit for Captain America because he didn't do anything. Jack Kirby and Joe Simon created it. From the costume to the origin. You know, people say, well, some of Stan Lee's contributions to Captain America are his most iconic. No, they're not. Because when the shit that you saw in the first Avenger with Captain America, Stan Lee was in World War II himself, so he wasn't off writing the stories. Now, I will say, if you consider being thawed out of ice and all that stuff, Captain America's greatest story arc, well, yes, that was from Avengers number 4. Stan Lee did write that story, as well as the motorcycle outside of my building.
Stan Lee wrote that? Wow, he was prescient.
He's still here with us. Stan Lee is, you know that whole phrase, we are Groot, we are Stan Lee. God, that was the saddest I've ever been when a celebrity died. I won't care ever again. But yeah, vroom, vroom, vroom is correct. Bomb Shoes, what's up? And thank you very much. He says, best first-person shooter of that generation is not 007. It's Conker's Bad Fur Day. Conker's Bad Fur Day is a game that I rented from Blockbuster when it was new. So I was, 11 or 12, depending on what part of the year I rented it in. I did not like it, man. It could be the greatest game, and the humor was just missed on me. But back then, I was willing to play everything. And that game, N64 rare produced adventure games just don't do it for me. Yes, I'm going to go on the record. I don't like Donkey Kong 64. I don't really care for Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie. My favorite rare game is GoldenEye. Their other games are fine, Perfect Dark, but I just don't like those collect-em-up games. And Conker's Bad Fur Day always kind of fell into that category for me. These random 3D platformers where you search for shit, and I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm doing after a certain point. So
you don't like Super Mario 64?
I don't like Super. Oh, the thing is, I don't dislike it. I just didn't have it as a kid, so I don't have any feelings towards it. I love Mario Odyssey, which is similar. So I like those types of games. I just don't have any connection to that one. But GoldenEye, that is my shooter that I will always fight for. Jesse, your favorite shooter is what, Halo 2?
Halo original.
Original Halo over Halo 2. All right.
I took OG Halo for me. I'm all about the campaign, and the quality of gameplay was improved for certain things in Halo 2. But the original cooperative campaign, or just solo campaign, it's just such a great story and such. I mean, like, I didn't have any complaints with the gameplay, except for the pistol being overpowered. That was legit. Except that's not really.
Can't you get headshots with that one because of the scope on it?
The scope was ridiculous, and it was such an overpowered gun. So that wasn't really a complaint per se. Like, was it a little bit bullshit? Yeah. Did I enjoy the fuck out of it? Also, yeah. Yeah, because the only guns, I'm really pretty sure the only guns with a scope at all in the first Halo were the sniper rifle and the pistol. And you got single zoom action on the pistol, you got the double zoom on the sniper rifle. But yeah,
I can't wait to play this with you in the fall.
The pistol in the original Halo was just like a miniature one-handed sniper rifle.
And they changed it because it was too overpowered.
Because it was ridiculously overpowered, but it was so much fun.
Our friend Space Monkey 0899, thank you very much. He said EA did a non-EA thing and made an amazing remaster of Command & Conquer 2020. Truly bizarre. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm going to look that up right now because me too. Command & Conquer was the shit. I didn't realize that they remade it. Remaster. 4K graphics. Where can I get this? Remastered collection, Jesse. Ooh. I kind of want to play this game. What? Oh, okay. So it's just a teaser, blah, blah, blah. It's not out yet. Or wait, no, I can buy it now. Do you want to get Command & Conquer?
Okay.
I can only get it on. It's only on PC for now. Maybe this computer can run it. Maybe. I don't know. But now all I can think about is Command & Conquer. Thanks. Thanks, Space Monkey 0899. So what you're telling me is they did an amazing thing and they didn't put microtransactions, correct? Because I wouldn't want to have to play through that again or get the game and then pay more when I'm playing it. That's just not my style. And then before we move on to the next subject, I believe we had one more super chat rolling from John Doe. It says, look up the remix of Hell March by MBR. Okay, I'll take a picture of that, and I will do that after the show. I don't want to be zoomed in that high. There we go. Okay, no microtransactions. Awesome. Well, then I'm kind of sold on it. I might, take it to Ohio with me. Might have some fun with it. So for a quick palate cleanser, folks, I want to show you guys the absolute, I can't even think of a more perfect world, the most useless thing ever. So Jesse, let's play a game.
Okay.
Think of the most useless object in the world.
Okay.
And say it out loud.
The most useless object in the world?
Yeah.
What do I think the most useless object in the world is?
Yeah.
Like that exists in the world?
Yeah, it has to be a real thing. What is the most useless object? Folks in the chat, please chime in. I want to hear, before I share what I found, I want to hear what you guys consider the most useless object in existence. And yes, we can talk about the games and the shooters all night long. Don't hesitate. We'll go back to that fun stuff. But I wanted to show this because this captured my attention. I hear politicians, Captain Marvel, Kathleen Kennedy, candles.
The Last Jedi?
The Last Jedi is what you say the most useless thing ever was?
Well...
Somebody says Twitter, pennies, Ryan Johnson, politics, paperweight.
The most useless thing ever.
Oh, somebody says California is damn worthless, and then somebody said women.
Not true. Your entire country wouldn't exist without California women. I kind of agree with that one.
So I'm gonna stop making people guess. So, folks, SJW is the most useless thing ever. There's a lot of that just popped up. I would like to show you the most useless thing I've ever seen. A 1-to-1 model kit of a noodle bowl, a cup of noodles, complete with tiny shrimp and mystery meat.
What?
So, folks, you can get a Nissan cup noodle 1-to-1 scale model for, I believe, $25.99. Now available for pre-order. So, yes, you can buy this. And here is the inside. It comes with the cup of noodles, fake ramen, fake meat, all these little bonus pieces, a fake paper lid, the cup noodle, and everything that you know and love, including little bitty shrimp, corn, and whatever else the hell this is. Now, I want to ask you, or I was asking you about the most useless thing, because a model of food that is available for less than $1, you're going to get a model version of it for 25 times that amount.
How big is this model?
1-to-1 scale. It's the same size as a cup of noodles. What the hell does this exist for?
Couldn't I just, make a cup of noodles?
Yes, you could.
And then, put it in a glass case?
You could do that if you want.
Right? I don't know, something on it to make it stay there forever.
Now, I think this is the dumbest thing ever, but guess what? It's sold out. Yes, it's sold out on Amazon. That's how popular and how stupid the world is. Now, let's see if it's still sold out on Amazon. Yes, it's currently unavailable on Amazon.
I hate humanity.
I don't like humanity either, but I just wanted to share, just for a minute, a nice little palate cleanser, because, there's a lot of dumb stuff going on in the world. So why not have something to just chuckle at? That's all I can say. Powdered water. It's a 6 turning 4 burning. I think powdered water is still dumber than this cup of noodle model, but still, a lot of people are going, what? Yeah. It'll get pulled when someone tries to eat it. Well, Perry White, the thing is, this is from Japan, where I believe it's more of a trial by fire society. So if somebody eats a fake model ramen kit and dies in Japan, they're just going to go, okay.
Dishonor on you, dishonor on your family.
Yeah, dishonor on you and dishonor on your family. They're not going to go, let us stop society to make it better for everyone else because your dumbass ate fake noodles.
Production on this amazing cup, but we could just shun all of your children and your children's children from all of our society forever. That makes a lot more sense.
I'm just looking at some of the stuff and people are laughing
Honestly,
at this.
I think it does make a lot more sense because you have one side people who figured out how to sell the most ridiculous thing for a profit to people. On the other side, you have the progeny of a moron. So.
My favorite comment comes from WTF viewer. He says, "Forget about walking on Legos. Try eating this when you don't pay attention." Model of food, yeah. Thank you, Chris. You agree that this is pretty useless. If you're interested in this, that's fine. Please don't send us one to the P.O. box. This is the one thing I don't want in the P.O. box.
Oh my God, please do. If you guys send one to the P.O. box, I'll record a video of us making it.
What, the model?
Yeah. I assume when you say model, it's in you build it.
Yeah, you just clip it together, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll shoot a video of us putting it together.
Sure. If you
have to paint it yourself.
It is all molded plastic, so it'll be easy there. Tim Riggs, thank you very much. He says, the most useless object in the world is any degree ending in studies. I always make the joke oh, you got a philosophy degree. Okay, why? But I'll never forget. My friend was taking a gender studies class in college, and I used to just joke with him like, "Why, man?" He's like, "I'm really learning a lot," and I'm like, "Ask Dion about him. He's not, that kind of, as we would call him, a soy boy here. He's nothing like that." How about a model of air? I like that one too. And yes, the model is definitely healthier than the cup of noodles, but still.
Not if you're eating it necessarily. I think they have roughly equivalent nutritional value if you eat it.
That's true. But I just wanted you guys to get a chuckle out of that. Because, like I said, this is one of those weeks where a lot of stuff is And now we're, talking about that. So this is going to be one of those weeks on the channel. It'll be a lot of fun. So just stay tuned. Now, did you guys hear about the actor who was fired from The Flash because of his tweets? So I'm not going to go into reading his tweets or make excuses and stuff, but all I want to ask you guys on this topic, and feel free to chime in with any comment you have, is when do you think, like how high do you think this kind of stuff is going to go? I mean, you do have your cancel culture stuff on lower levels, but there's definitely a point where you're too big to be touched. When do you guys in the chat, and Jesse, when do you think this will stop being a point about being too big to be touched? Because things keep happening in society that, this event happened or that event happens, and you have tweets from a decade ago that happen to correspond with that and tell, a compelling story. When do you guys think that it's going to get, it reaches a point where no one is safe from this kind of stuff? Any comment?
Like no one is safe from
cancel culture.
Cancel culture? I think we're there.
Oh, I think some people are definitely safe from cancel culture.
Who do you think's safe from being canceled?
Honestly, older actors with huge status. I hate to bring him up because he's a boxer, like Harrison Ford. He can say "fuck you" to cancel culture and get away. He's not going to, but I think he's too big because here's the thing: people like him aren't ingrained in people's childhoods. We'll just use Harrison Ford for an example. If he did something that people wanted him to get canceled for, Indiana Jones is still going to make a ton of money. They're still going to sell Han Solo action figures. There's just certain people that are just too big that are going to.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Kevin Spacey was pretty close to those heights in terms of his. I mean, especially because remember when all that shit broke? That was the height of House of Cards fame too.
Yeah, but yes, I agree.
And he's not as old as Harrison Ford, and in that regard. But he is older. He has been around for a while. He's been in some. He's definitely somebody. At least before that, was definitely someone's favorite actor.
Oh, still, probably is a lot of people's favorite actors. But I was just making the point, like he's here on this island. He's Kevin Spacey. He's been in a lot of great movies. He's been in a lot of the bad movies. But he's really just kind of Kevin Spacey. He hasn't really played anything iconic to where people know that face. They might not even know the actor. You put a Han Solo mug, people are going to know it's Han Solo or something like that. I mean, there is a level where you can't get canceled, but I think you have to be like another step above. Like Robert Downey Jr., they're coming for him after the Tropic Thunder shit. I think he might be a step below Harrison Ford, but I think he's still 2 steps ahead of everybody else trying to cancel that kind of stuff.
I mean, maybe, because I guess you also had, even though they did go after Matt Damon in the height of the Me Too, he didn't get canceled. To be fair, if he got canceled over just stating an obvious fact, that would have been
stupid,
the most retarded thing that's ever happened, as opposed to just all the other retarded things.
Is it worse than the cup of noodle model?
Canceling Matt Damon for saying that not all forms of sexual harassment are the same. Would it be as it's up there. It's like I'm gonna have the same reaction to both, where I'm kind of gonna scratch my head and go, "But why?" So I guess they're pretty much on level.
Dr. Coffin says Kevin Spacey is nowhere near Harrison Ford status.
I mean, yeah, but he's still up there in terms of I guess Matt Damon feels a little maybe less touchable.
Tom Cruise, somebody said too, is too big to cancel. Even
though what's funny, they came for James Franco, and even him and James Franco's not that level either. But even he slippered. He still has a career, he doesn't.
Yeah, and I think
people were really trying to catch, and that was not just for shit he said, but for some of his actual pretty sure James Franco has done more questionable things with women than some people who've actually gotten canceled.
And look at Mel Gibson. He's making a comeback too.
That's true. Granted,
I think
he had gotten canceled today, like the backlash was pretty severe when he came out and said all the dumb shit he said back then. If he came out with saying the same stuff today, I don't think we see it coming.
Well, I think the reason, like the fact that he came back from that while the culture and the temperature of the room was different, the fact that it was such a widespread thing, I couldn't imagine it being bigger. It would have to take, this current political climate to make it a bigger story. I mean, that was everywhere. He was on cover of magazines being there.
Deal, as well it should be.
But I'm not making any excuses for him. I'm just saying I think there are some people that are above cancel culture. This guy right here is definitely not. I don't know the tweet off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and check it out. But I just wonder what's going to happen. Are we going to draw a line? Because, what if a prominent showrunner, I don't really know any showrunners off the top of my head besides the guy from Burn Notice, but he's not doing shit right now. But let's just say a prominent showrunner's main, Ruby Rose. Let's say Ruby Rose said some shit a couple weeks ago. Would they try to cancel her, or would the argument, because she's a lesbian, or she's not, well, she's bisexual, right?
Ruby Rose?
Yeah. She's a lesbian. Okay. I heard somebody say she wasn't gay enough to play Batwoman. Isn't she?
She's not gay enough to play Batwoman, apparently, but it has nothing to do with her not being a full-fledged lesbian. It has everything to do with something.
Because last time I checked, if you were a lesbian, you're a lesbian. There's really no... That's like saying I'm a person, you're a person. It's the end of it.
Yeah. That's what it should be, right?
It should be.
Makes sense, right?
What if Michael Jackson was still with us? Oh, that definitely would be. The thing is, his court case was national headline news, and that's with the traditional, news reporting cycle. I couldn't imagine Michael Jackson in today's social media climate, because he passed away in 2009. So Twitter was around. I had a Facebook account in 2007. I don't know when Twitter really got like as ubiquitous as it is now, but that's an interesting point. Really interesting point. What about Michael Jackson? So, I saw this piece of news, and I just wanted to share it and ask you guys that question. When do we reach that point? I don't know. Is it soon? I just hope things calm down across the board. I'm personally tired of everything being, so I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say just politicized, but I don't know. But now it's funny. I was going to talk about something and I don't want it to get politicized, but here we go. So, folks in the chat, I'm going to play a game with you. Do me a favor. When you think of the Looney Tunes, what do you think of? Me personally, I think of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. Jesse, what do you think of when you think of Looney Tunes?
I think of Looney Tunes. Yeah, Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner. Yeah.
The classic stuff.
The classic.
Well, have you ever thought of gun rights activism in Looney Tunes going hand in hand?
Not a single time, weirdly enough.
Yeah, me neither. Now, Steven Spielberg made this mistake in 2002, I believe. Maybe it was 2003. For E.T., when he went back and he CGI'd the guns out of the cops' holsters and replaced them with walkie-talkies. Now, some think it was George Lucas. Some people think it was whatever was going on. But it was a mistake, and thankfully Steven Spielberg went back and fixed it. Now, they're removing Elmer Fudd's gun from Warner Brothers Looney Tune cartoon. Now, I have no stance on real-life hunting or anything like that, but Elmer Fudd is a hunter. Unless you're going to replace his gun with a bow and arrow or some form of hunting equipment, why does he exist on the show? And you're thinking, well, isn't that a little extreme? It is a little extreme because taken away as one meat, he exists. Everybody knows him from rabbit season or wabbit season, duck season. That's all he is. He's got the funny speech impediment. He's not a complex character. He's not that interesting. He only works when he's hunting around the forest looking for Bugs Bunny. So to take that away is dumb, because what does a hunter do? He hunts. What do most American modern hunters use? Some kind of gun. So to take that away is dumb. And people are up in arms about this. There's controversy. There's talks online. People are angry. And I think it all boils down to when you fuck with stuff they like, they get mad. I don't think anybody, for me personally, I've never once worried about Elmer Fudd sending a message to the next generation of America's youth. A bad message. To me, Elmer Fudd's a forgettable character. But it's important, though. The Elmer Fudd precedent, that's what we'll call it. Because you take away a character's reason to exist, their agency, well, then they don't need to be brought back. You could have, how many times you can have Roadrunner get chased by the Wile E. Coyote, or how many times you can have Sylvester chase Tweety. That's fine. There's no guns involved. We can use anvils and bombs and other things. See how stupid this is? So, in the world of animation, Warner Brothers Looney Tunes is a cultural juggernaut, having existed in some form or another for over 90 years. Classic characters have been the staple of several generations. Recently, Warner Brothers produced brand new Looney Tunes cartoons for HBO Max, done in the style of the classic shorts from the late 40s through the late 60s. However, the show received pushback from animators, or after animators removed Elmer Fudd's hunting rifle, which is seen as a staple of the character by some. And now, we'll read the tweet in a second. Okay, never mind, we'll read the tweet now. Do you guys seriously care whether or not Elmer Fudd has a gun in our shorts? He wrote, you know how many gags we can do with guns? Fairly few. And the best were already done by the old guys. It's limiting. It's never about the gun. It was about Elmer Fudd's flawed, challenged masculinity. This has got to be a joke. Because, again, like I broke it down, Elmer Fudd is a hunter. He exists to hunt. What other purpose does he have? Kill him. I don't give a shit. Kill the motherfucker. Same with Yosemite Sam. All he's known for is shooting off his two guns and screaming and making noise. Those characters aren't deep characters. They're not meant to be psychoanalyzed. They don't have depth at all. Maybe Bugs Bunny. Maybe Daffy Duck out of an inferiority complex. Other than that, these characters are just fucking short characters. They exist to get you excited for a real movie.
Question.
Yeah.
Since when did guns become the sole paragon of violence in this country? Like, again, this, and when people have politicizing up with, we can all come together and be anti-violent. Well, obviously those cartoons aren't anti-violent.
No, they're violent as shit.
They're violent as crap. They're still all the dynamite and explosions in different creative ways, and I'm seeing some still over here of like Elmer Fudd with a fucking scythe. I'm sorry, it's a little more brutal if he's chasing around with a scythe or trying to put a stick of dynamite in his mouth than just shoot him with a hunting rifle. For Christ's sakes, I mean, this ridiculousness of course it's political. If it was apolitical and you just were trying to have a specific message about being anti-violent or, violence is bad and trying to kill people is wrong, you would take out all the violence. You'd just stop making Looney Tunes. Or you'd do whatever they did the last time they tried to, or it was more like about, I watched some episode, it was like Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny were roommates, and Daffy Duck was addicted to shopping online.
That sounds like some Bert and Ernie shit that I don't care about.
That's stupider than even that. And like it's just so pointedly making a statement. If you're like, we can leave in literally every other kind of violence. Every other kind of violence is fine. But we are against guns. Why are you against guns? You're against guns simply because the people you politically disagree with are for guns. And that is the only reason you're against guns.
And here's the thing. Here's a picture from the new shorts of Elmer Fudd taking an axe to Bugs Bunny. Here, look. That's new, because look at the yellow gloves.
It's violence.
That's it. There you go, folks, right there. So I don't want to hear about, I think Jesse hit the point on the head about the politicization of the gun because of the side whatever. Side you vote for. So
exactly. It's just like there's certain things, people they always want to, it's just these traps that they want to get into. Oh no, we're just against violence. Of course we're against violence. No, you're not. You're full of shit. And this just demonstrates exactly, you just full of lies. You can say whatever you want. Oh, if you're not with me, then you're for violence. Well, your argument falls apart immediately. Yeah. Immediately. And that's the kind of crap they try to pull, though. It's exactly the kind of crap they try to pull. Oh, if you're for this, you're for kids having guns. No.
Here's an excellent point Cesaro Japan makes. Pepe Le Pew should be canceled for being a sexual predator.
He absolutely should be.
You know what? I am almost inspired to go back, watch a bunch of Warner Brothers cartoons, and make a list of shit that you couldn't do and what happened. We should do that.
We should.
We should definitely do that. It counts as work.
It does.
Yeah, I also, Mr. Lulzbot, why does he have yellow gloves? I have no clue. I have no clue why he has yellow gloves. I think they're stupid. You know what, Sean, it's funny that you bring that up. Go Big Boar, Go Home says, wouldn't we all rather be hacked up by an axe than get shot? That totally makes sense, right? When I was showing the picture to Jesse, I almost said I'd rather get shot than hacked up with an axe. I don't want either things to happen to me, but if I had to pick one of the two, I think, boom, we would have done that. Yeah, I don't like Pepe Le Pew either, but the point stands. Are we going to hold fiction? Here's the thing. This is where we're at. We're holding fictional characters accountable. I talked about the canceling of shit a minute ago. We're holding fictional characters accountable for stuff that happened decades ago. What? I hate society right now. I hate society right now. I don't like how they dismiss Nerve Clax. I know you're being sarcastic. I like how they dismiss those old guys. Let me tell you something. Whatever this writer's name is from, or this animator, Michael Ruocco, dude, no offense, you will never have the impact that Chuck Jones had, so just stop trying to diminish the characters that he was a part of, excuse me, creating. I can't stand this shit. Like, again, when I talked about adapting stuff, you're coming in to play with other people's toys. If I had the opportunity to go make, I don't know, a Star Wars cartoon, I'm not going to make Luke Skywalker a chick, am I? Well, I'm just not that person. Now, the artist goes on to justify the decision by reminding people of the climate surrounding gun violence during the time of the show's production, and cements that he believes in the choice that was made. To me, this is just like when you censored Daryl Hannah's butt. You're doing these things, you're changing, you're worried about sensibilities of products that don't necessarily, like the Warner Brothers, when you say, oh, they were created in this time, and you're using the modern lens, that doesn't really work. Because, like you said, late 40s, late 60s, you're trying to get the feel. Your argument just fell in upon itself, pal. Because if you're trying to capture the feeling of 1940s through 1960s Warner Brothers animations, they look at a gun as a joke. They're not thinking to themselves, are kids really going to go out there and do this? Do we need to reflect what's going on in the news? No. Because they were worried about telling a good, funny story. I can watch Warner Brothers cartoons. If I see Wile E. Coyote get blown up 1,000 times with dynamite, I usually get a chuckle. It just depends on how you do it. The thing with all these cartoons is they're all pathetically predictable. It's Bugs Bunny goes after Elmer Fudd. Elmer Fudd goes after Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny usually gets the best of him, and we repeat in a different part of the woods. That's all I can say. Yeah, Looney Tunes were never about gun control. And they're also made for adults at movie theaters before the feature starts. So, I don't know why they didn't put it on Hulu, but they should have. So up next, we have our friend Private Halo 117. Thank you very much for your super chat. He says, Disney, until they screw up and touch something they shouldn't be touching. 08 details Star Wars, and there's kids in the park, so that's a double strike. Now, okay, you're talking about the canceling stuff. That'd be interesting to see what it's going to take to cancel Disney. It's going to have to be something real severe, and I think that is the real severe thing right there. Now, I don't want these terrible things to happen to people just to have like something I dislike canceled or whatever. Like, I don't want that kind of stuff to happen. I don't want anybody to, I don't even believe in the canceling thing. But I think it's an interesting conversation to have when you bring up Amber Heard. I think that's the most interesting person to talk about when we go into the cancel culture stuff, because even if you don't like Johnny Depp, we can all agree with the alleged stuff that's going on. It's pretty damn heinous, and it's so shocking from how extreme it is. And I think that's a lot of the way people handle it. But I always bring up the argument, is it canceling Amber Heard? And no, you gotta look at each. You gotta look at each topic as they come. I think it's kind of interesting to have that discussion. And we've had that on the podcast. Go back a couple episodes. You can check it out. But our friend Tim Riggs, thank you very much. He says, it was about Elmer's flawed challenge masculinity. No, it was about him getting the tables turned on him by a wascally wabbit. It's sad when people that don't work on this stuff know it better than the people that get paid to work on it. It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. And I know a lot of people in the Fandom Menace are making videos. I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow on the High Council. We have our guest, No Bullshit, so that'll be a lot of fun. And it's going to be a pretty awesome show, because No Bullshit has a huge following. I actually reached out to him a couple of years ago, and we got back. We've been talking, and we're going to make it happen. So that is this Thursday night. So tomorrow night, Tuesday. You don't want to miss out. Now we're going to close the show a little early because we're going to do something fun. Today is an anniversary, folks. Today is the anniversary of a film that's so important to us as the Fandom Menace, so important to us as a society, important to myself as well as many others. What is that film? Well, give me a second so I can give you guys a proper image that includes all of them, because sometimes they don't. And today's anniversary is for a little-known film called Ghostbusters. Yes, today, folks, is the 36th anniversary of Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters film, the first one, is in my top 10. Love it. I really don't have anything bad to say about Ghostbusters. It's perfect the way it is. I wouldn't change anything. I know it was rumored that Eddie Murphy was supposed to, play Winston Zeddemore, which I don't like because, one, he wouldn't have made Beverly Hills Cop, and two, Ernie Hudson plays into the dynamic perfectly. For Winston to be the straight man, and people say, well, Egon's the straight man. Not really. Egon is so bizarre that I consider just Winston the straight guy. He's the POV character, if you will. Everyone else is dealing with ghosts and how, what are we going to do now that we know ghosts are real? Well, Winston is on the front line fighting said ghosts, and he wasn't afraid of them. So he is officially Kendo's favorite Ghostbuster. Mine would be, I think I'm going to go with Ray. And then, Egon and Venkman are great. But today is the 36th anniversary of Ghostbusters. And 1984 was a hell of a year for movies. We had Ghostbusters, we had Beverly Hills Cop, we had Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. There's movies that are fucking escaping. One of the Friday the 13th was just very good. I believe Pretty in Pink came out in 1984. No, not Pretty in Pink. 16 Candles is 1984. Correct. I want to look that up because I don't want to. Yep, 1984 is 16 Candles. I always get that Weird Science Breakfast Club, the order mixed up. They're all really good movies. But yeah, I want to know what everyone's favorite Ghostbusters memory is. Winston is the everyman. He's Dr. Coffindale's favorite too. Medicare also says he's the everyman. I see shit that'll turn you white. I love that line. The one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. That's from Ghostbusters too, right? Yeah, that's a good line though. I think my favorite Ghostbusters line, it might not be my favorite line, but it's the delivery. At the very end when he goes, "Hey, who does your taxes?" I chuckle every time I hear that line. It's such a good movie. Fuck. I kind of want to put that on tonight. Oh well, folks. The funny thing is we can start shows off talking about all these dumb things, but we can celebrate the good. There are very few things in pop culture that are perfect. I'll put Ghostbusters there. Very happy with Ghostbusters. Love it. So, I think we're going to see what else we got. And then I think we might call this one a little early. I do want to put the title card together for our Snyder Cut video. We're not really reporting on the Snyder Cut at all. So you guys want to check that one out. Because I don't just go, the Snyder Cut's happening. It costs this much money. No, it's a different argument altogether. But you just have to watch until it comes out. So probably just a couple of minutes until I get this all finalized. And it's already uploaded, so it'll be going live soon. So, folks, like I said, this was a shorter episode, but you can catch me over on Mindless Entertainment. Jesse, do you have the link up?
Link is up.
We'll be over there in not too long.
And this is going to be my last Monday stream.
Oh, this is Jesse's last Monday stream.
Because I will most likely be back to my regular Mondays after this. So.
It feels weird. It definitely feels like everything's going back to normal, like across the board, like people's schedules and stuff.
Well, like I talked about for my patrons, it's weird because it's just really bizarre because it's like we've had to create these, we're just settling into our new normal routines. And now things are going back to the way they were before, but not completely. So now we kind of need a new normal that may be the way things always are, or just maybe how they are until we're back to the old normal.
Well,
because who knows if there will be a new normal or not.
Well, all I know is that this new normal can always be normal for me if I watch Ghostbusters. So, yeah, let me get caught up on the super chats, folks, and then join us tomorrow night on the High Council. I mean, this was a much shorter show, a smaller show, but, you know, it was a good way to start this week. This week's going to be kind of interesting for me because over the weekend, I had a phone call, a very important phone call from FedEx. And they said, we're about to be here with your order. And the order was a pallet full of books, graphic novels. My graphic novel, my comic. I did it myself. Made it. But I may have made the book, but I couldn't have done it without everybody else that backed it. So that is why there are thousands of these books in this little apartment, because they're going to get ready to be processed and then shipped out to you guys. So if you backed it before and there was the damage issue, and quite frankly, they made mistakes across the board, that isn't what I asked them for. That's why it was able to get rectified in the amount of time it was on their end. And now I have for you, you know what? I'll show it real quick on camera because I've shown it on, well, I'll drop everything in the process. I've shown it on other streams. I'll show it here on this stream proper. But where are we at? There we go. Start cam. Boom. Why am I hidden? There we go. So, folks, new book, same cover, new back, spine. This is a graphic novel, much different material, new pages. So if you're wondering like what's different about it, well, hey, guess what? We got pinup sections, we got cover galleries, we have all sorts of things on this version of the book. And if you already backed it, well, I have good news for you. This will be coming to you fairly soon. Like I said, I just got to process all of these things and then take care of it. We're waiting on the little shippers that come, these envelopes, these mailer things that refuse to bend, these nice high-end ones. So everybody's getting that. I got to take care of that. So if I seem a little distant at times, that's why, because I got to sign fucking thousands of books. But hey, it's a first world problem, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. So I'm glad everyone's excited. If you would like to get a copy, I will be doing a second Indiegogo. Unlike, you know, I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to be a comic book artist. I've always wanted to have this opportunity. Thankfully, I do now. And while the first experience was a little meh because of some of the factors, I'm going to come back stronger than ever, and we're going to do more of this. So I have a second printing in the works with a different cover and stuff like that, because I believe, you know, if you're one of the people that gets it right away, you know, special editions and first editions and stuff are awesome. I do love how, you know, even though I'm not a fan, my buddy Phil loves his Xbox, and he got the day one edition with the special controller and all that stuff. So people really, you know, want that kind of stuff. I like it too. But everybody will get a chance to get books, so don't worry. I'll be making plenty of announcements. Actually, a lot of announcements. So there we go. So let's see. Yes, quarantine. My hair did get long. It also would help if I shaved. But I'm in quarantine with one other person. And Jesse, do you care if I brush my hair yet?
Not really.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect my life.
Yeah, I'm going to go get a haircut when I go back to Ohio in a couple weeks. So let's see what the guys in the chat are saying, and then we're going to close out tonight's very fun show. So first off, our friend Chucky Cheese. Oh, sorry. Scottski02 says, Twitter is the most useless thing ever. Scottski02, I agree. That's why we have the following we do on Twitter, because I don't really use it much. If people are like, Jeff, I reached out to you on Twitter, I didn't hear anything back. It's not because I'm a dick that doesn't respect you. It's because I don't really get how to use Twitter, and Nick is responsible for the Twitter, as well as Kendo with the email. So if you're trying to contact the show, you're going to get one of the four of us. If you yell really loud, maybe Dion will hear you. That's how he'll respond. But Twitter is useless. But if you're trying to reach us, it's good for some things. But overall, I'm not a fan. Private Halo 117, thank you very much, says, I have a friend that works at Disney with the characters to see how close they can do it. And they played a game with the kids. It's kind of disgusting. Ooh. I don't condone any of that bullshit. Ugh, that's gross. You know, I don't really have anything else to say besides, ew. That's all I can really say. It's, ugh. So thank you, Private Halo, for your super chat. And then finally, our friend Chucky Cheese with a thumbs up, a big old thumbs up super sticker. So thank you. Dr. Coffin Nails, if you're referencing Wayne's World 2, I would stay on air longer just for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to go finish the title card, and then I'm going to put the video out for everybody. So if you guys want more mindless entertainment in about 12-ish minutes, and yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote for today, folks. So from all of us here at World Class Bullshitters, thank you very much. But most importantly, no matter how crazy things are out in the world, always be excellent to each other.